Soulja Slim and BG started the gangster shit in New Orleans, like that gangster rap shit that niggas talk now.
Yes. The head busser.
Yeah.
The head busser music. Yeah. That's Soulja
And if
Slim
we're
and BG.
expanding the whole state of Louisiana, then you got to consider Boosie and stuff like that. But I'm gonna go just New Orleans.
Okay, we doing.
And so yeah, Juvenile just did his Tiny Desk concert. We was watching that before we did the show. What did you think about it from what you saw?
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too.
Forget how many bangers this man has.
Juvenile has bangers. Manny Fresh too. Shout out to Manny.
And you want to know what I like about his bangers? They're timeless.
I think a lot of them aged well. I think the message on some of them, maybe not so, but it's fun music. You know what I'm saying?
He comes from a very sexually vivacious culture where erotic sounds, behavior are the norm. And so when you're seeing the things that he's talking about, well, it's a reflection truly of like where he's from. It's very, I go back to New Orleans being such a pigeon place in so many succinct ways, and the openness of the sexuality and the bounce music kind of play hand in hand with that. So you might not like the rhetoric. Everybody
but
down
it's
there,
reality.
It's their reality.
007's in the building with the super chat. I think 007 went to the Essence Fest. He says, heard more Juvie and N.O. than Wayne at the Essence Fest weekend. Found that interesting. Wayne is still the best there, though. N.O. and ATL held down the South rap. You know what? That's interesting, and I would say this. And, I'm the guy that did that, best hip-hop song in Atlanta for the past 30 years type thing. I would imagine if you asked the people in New Orleans, based on what they feel, and like you said, with the game, that example you gave there, they might put Juvenile over Wayne. I think the rest of the nation holds Wayne to a certain level because he's put in a level of work that you just can't deny. It's undeniable. And the longevity and all of that. But if someone from New Orleans said, nah, man, Juvie's that guy here over Wayne, I couldn't refute that.
You know what? It's kind of one of those things. Who's the best player to come out of Chicago to play basketball?
Off the top of my head, I thought D. Wade when you said that. But
I think it's Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas, yeah, there we go. Forget Isaiah's friend.
Isaiah Thomas literally was doing a show where he's saying, in Chicago, D. Rose is the man. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
So even though Isaiah and Wade in the NBA reached heights that D. Rose didn't,
in the city, he's the guy.
In the city, D. Rose the guy.
Yeah.
And so even though Wayne has reached these heights outside of New Orleans, inside of New Orleans, Juvenile, Soulja Slim, BG, them the guys.
It's the stuff that we try to tell our audience when we talk the ludicrous stuff. And people think that we're being disrespectful when we talk the ludicrous stuff. But no, it's what it is. Like, when he was the biggest guy in Atlanta to you guys who are watching from the outside looking in, he wasn't the biggest guy in Atlanta to the people that were here.
It was like his music's dope.
It's just what he was dope. He could rap. He was probably out rapping guys.
Yeah, he's definitely out rapping
guys. But if
guys.
you go into, the clubs and this and that, they're not playing him over the big oomph stuff. They're not playing him over the T.I. stuff.
Yeah.
They're not playing him over the Lil Jon stuff at the time.
The Attic Crew and the East Side and Lil Jon and them had it. Yeah.
I heard Damn from the Youngbloods in the club way more than I've ever heard any Ludacris record in the club. And that's just the truth.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
And I love Luda. And I don't want Luda to come out there putting out no freestyle talking about us. But I'm just saying.
How about this? It's like people outside Atlanta probably started doing like the A-Town stomp when they saw with Lil Jon and Ludacris and Usher.
Right.
We started doing the stomp to Damn.
We was doing that shit before then. I remember that.
That's what I'm saying. It's like Damn was the excuse.
Yeah.
It's like that was the full-fledged. That was the record to do it on, and so.
Let's rewind.
So even
I remember Baby D had a record that people did it on. It was like, what you know about that EAST? Yeah.
Yeah, I told you Eastside.
Yeah, I just want people to know. I got to give people props.
Right. So it's like, while Luda's going triple platinum, that's what we doing in the city.
Yeah. Something else is going on here.
So it's like, no, we happy for fam.
Yeah.
Cut that shit on. Cut that Lil Jon on. Cut that Youngbloods on.
So if people in New Orleans feel like that about Wayne,
cut that early tip on. How about this? I don't know what trap music sold, but trap music reverberated in this city.
Yeah.
When you stepped outside, the way no project from anybody around that era did.
It changed the sound.
Our mutual friend, you know, this Chris Hardaway was in Gwinnett. I'm thinking that this fool is getting jumped. He's like, you got to come here right now. I'm like, I hop in the whip. I'm running. I'm thinking something's going on. This fool wanted to play trap music for me.
I remember the first time I heard the album
he was like, you got to hear this. He said, this is the best we done since Aquemini. And when he said that, I was like, oh, shit.
You know what? That might not be an overreach at the time.
No, it's not an overreach.
I remember hearing...
It's the best album to come out of the South since Aquemini, and he's right about that.
I remember hearing that album for the first time. My boy Nate's
Well,
car.
Atlanta, not the South. Atlanta, though.
Yeah. I was in my boy Nate's whip, and we were leaving like a South Cobb High School football game or something. But, yeah, that album was the truth, and
Shout
it
out
changed
to South
things.
Cobb metal detectors.
It changed things. So, back to our point, though. If people in New Orleans feel like that about Wayne, I understand it. But from the outside looking in, I have to factor in all of Wayne's work. I would put him at number one. But
Yeah, Wayne's number one.
when we look at Juvenile, not just from a New Orleans perspective, but an all-time perspective, in my opinion, he has 2 records that are viable top 50, if not top 100 hip-hop songs of all time. And I'm talking about High and Back That Ass Up. I definitely think Back That Ass Up is a top 50.
See, and I think High is the top 50.
Well, there it is. And 400 Degrees, I feel like 400 Degrees is a top 50 hip-hop album all time.
I actually think, Mike, it might be higher.
It might be. I'm just putting it in a range. You know what I mean?
How about this? And this was just like off the top of the dome question that I had for you when we were,
Mm-hmm.
you know, kind of doing our pregame. What Southern rap albums are better than 400 Degrees for certain? Because when I thought about for certain, I'm going to tell you exactly where I thought. I thought The Diary by Scarface. I thought Outkast's first 3 albums. And I thought Soul Food by Goody Mob. And after those 5 albums, I couldn't tell you that anything succinctly came out of the South. Not definitively better than 400 Degrees. Those 5 albums for me are definitively better than 400 Degrees. Soul Food, the first 3 Outkast albums, and The Diary by Scarface. After that, it's like,
You know I'm a Project Pat guy.
What, you think Mr. Don't Play?
I love Mr. Don't
It's
Play,
not,
but I got to be objective. It's not. You know what I mean?
Mr. Don't Play came up in my mind.
And I love Mr. Don't Play.
So did Riding Dirty.
Mm-hmm. But when we think about it,
But
those
when you
records
think about
they ain't got to back that ass up. They don't have a rich niggas.
How about
Chicken
this?
Head would be
No, they do. I was about to
back
say.
that ass up.
And Let Me See It would be their Back That Ass Up. And guess what? As much as I love those 2 records, neither one of those records
They're
is
not.
Back That Ass Up.
And then he has High to fall back on. Then he has the song 400 Degrees, which is a club classic as well. You know what I mean? Then he got Rich Niggas. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, this is a very, very tough album. And he got really dope album songs in there too. Follow Me Now.
No, Follow Me is my shit.
Yeah. Juvenile's a very skilled, storyteller.
Underrated as a versatile artist.
Yeah.
And that would put 400 Degrees as the 6th best album to ever come out of the South.
And I think if we be
And I
perfectly
think that's
honest
about
here,
accurate.
let's look at this for real though.
Like, we clear about this. Like, it's better than every Wayne project, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Well, let's look at it like this too. What does Cash
Even the
Money?
Carter 2, just to be certain. It's even better
Yeah,
than the Carter
it's
2.
better than that. Okay. What does Cash Money Records look like when we look at the full lexicon of all the labels who've ever done it in hip hop? I think they have to be towards the top if you look at the longevity, the transitions, the success. And this guy's album was the building blocks for this label to become what it's become. And that means something.
Well, let's look at it like this. If you want to talk about notoriety, Cash Money has 3 artists, Drake, Wayne, Nicki, who are literally top 3 as far as hip-hop artists all time charting.
Mm-hmm.
They have bona fide classics like 400 Degrees,
Yep.
the Carter 2. And so they have everything.
They've been in business for 30 years.
They have everything. Before Juvenile, big timers,
BG.
BGs,
Hot Boy.
BGs when it was Wayne and BG in a group when Wayne was 13.
Yeah.
UNLV.
Yep.
So they have transitioned.
The Hot Boys as well.
The Hot Boys. So they went from local hood group, a neighborhood favorite, to street dudes, to Universal Distribution, CMR, to, Yeah.
I know people don't want to look at it like this, but you know what they look like? They look like Def Jam. Look like when we were younger. You know what I'm saying? Like
Better
they were
put some
around.
respect on it.
Yeah.
Respect.
Because Def Jam's second phase was when they got X, J, or I guess third possibly, X, J, and Ja, right?
No, that is the second phase because Def Jam lived on L, Beasties, Run DMC, and Slick Rick for a long ass time.
Well,
in the
I'm
early
thinking
90s.
about that mid-90s,
What do
that
they have in the
Warren G,
mid-90s?
that Onyx,
See, but
that era.
they kind of got lucky. They kind of fell into Redman and Warren G. They wasn't looking for
And they had
that.
Method Man in 94 too.
Right, but it's like Meth said. He's like when DMX dropped everybody.
That's
got
what
new
I'm
houses.
saying. I feel like that's their third leg. Their second leg wasn't as successful as the third.
See, I don't think that was a second leg. I think that was the warm up to the second leg. It's like getting Red and Meth is really the second leg. There is no second leg. Warren G was kind of an outlier. They weren't expecting that. That's what I'm saying. As far as like what their plans were, Meth and Red was kind of like the warm up. They didn't plan on Reasonable Doubt being that way and picking up Jay and Rockefeller from Priority. They didn't plan on that. They didn't plan because think about that. Like them going and picking up Reasonable Doubt from Jay in December of that year. People forget Rockefeller and Def Jam signed that distribution in December of '96. That put Irv in the building.
Yep.
That's what put X in the building.
That was the important piece.
Right. That put Irv in the building.
That actually put Jay in the building too. Irv was a big piece.
No. Irv is what bought X and Ja Rule in the building. That's when shit changed for them. Shit didn't change when they bought Jay in the building for Reasonable Doubt. Volume 1 sold 1 million records.
Yeah, they brought him in for Volume 1. Yep.
Ja Rule and DMX, that's Irv being in the building.
Yeah.
That changed things. That's their second leg to me.
I think the Cash Money's Nicki, Wayne, Drake looks a lot like the late
Jay,
90s.
X, Ja Rule?
Exactly. And a lot of people don't really look at it like that, but with all that being said, Juvenile's 400 Degrees, it's very licensed to illish, honestly. If we keep it real, it built the label. It put them in position to
more
be
radio
what
than
they
licensed
are.
to ill.
It's a little mix of both. And I say licensed to ill because of the commercial
bangers.
success.
You're talking about the viability.
Yeah, it sold a lot
Paul
too.
Revere, Girls.
Yeah. It sold a lot. And that money from those records did a lot for Def Jam moving forward. Just like the money from 400 Degrees did a whole lot for Cash Money moving forward.
Isn't that crazy that Views is the first album to exceed 400
It's
Degrees
incredible.
in sales? I forgot how many records it moved.
Yeah. Christopher Hogan with the super chat says, Big Facts Coop. Ask any rapper from Louisiana who the #1 rapper is. And it's Soulja Slim. He represented the streets of Louisiana.
Fam, I had my barber who cut my hair for 12 years, Fifth Ward. You can't tell them. Like, how about this? They love Slim so much, they could tell you how he got hit and where and what time it was and where it was when it happened.
Very sad.
Like when dudes talk about him, and even the night he died, they talk about where they were when it happened in New Orleans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's a different type of attachment where it's like, no. He had went to go because I knew his cousin that stayed 3 doors down from his mama when they had did it. And yeah, it's like that.
Yeah.
It's like, but how they feel about him is like that.
Yeah.
Niggas die in New Orleans every day and they don't say shit.
Christopher Daughtery with the super chat says, another reason Juvenile and BG over Wayne Coop is I'm from New Orleans. Is because their catalog is better than Wayne's. And more a feature guy highlight guys to us.
You know what I noticed during the Tiny Desk? And I literally asked myself this question. Is like, are Wayne's hits better than Juvenile's hits?
I don't know.
Like,
I mean,
that's
Wayne
what I'm
just
saying.
got a lot more, you know what I mean?
He do, but think about the stuff that he's like. See, that's the thing with Wayne. It's like there's the stuff that he made that's hits that I feel like are better songs. And then there's the stuff that's like really, really popular that I don't know if it's as good. Like, how about this? It's like, for as much as I love like 6 foot, 7 foot, and She Will on the Carter 4.
Yeah, those ain't high and back that ass up. No.
It's not even John though with Rick Ross. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean about his hits. You know what I'm saying? It's just like when the John with Rick Ross is really the banger. You know what I'm saying?
Here we go with the John stuff. You're right though. We were listening to John yesterday.
John's the best song on the Carter 4, Mike.
Shout out to Rick Ross. CJ Kidd with a super chat says, is Ghetto Boys gripping on that other level or We Can't Be Stopped better than 400 Degrees? I always hear The Grip is a classic. No, we don't have the evidence. It's a classic.
It's not.
But it's not 400 Degrees. CJ Kidd says, is the Fix better than 400 Degrees?
I thought about the Fix because here's the problem with the Fix. It's like, and that's where High and Back That Ass Up start getting in glaring view. It's like, even for a prime peak Scarface, it's like, no, the Diary's better.
Why would you say the Diary's better than 400 Degrees?
It's more, production-wise, I find it to be an equal piece of work. I think the production on the Diary is succinctly underrated. There's a level up in the production and in the sounds. I hate to say it like this. You can tell these niggas got real money now when you hear the Diary. First two albums, you can tell that they on the street stuff. They paying local producers. It's like, no, they done stepped into professional studios, professional engineers, but also, Mike, has stuff that competes on an all-time level.
I Seen a Man Die is crazy.
I Seen a Man Die? Oh, that's better than High and Back That Ass Up. You want to talk about a top 50 song? It's like, how about this? I know High and Back That Ass Up are top 50 songs. I Seen a Man Die, top 20 song. Hand of the Dead Body with Ice Cube. You know, Going Down. Please excuse my attitude. He actually has stuff to compete. And as far as like an album, lyricism, shit that you can feel, oh, yeah, that's better than
And he did it
degrees.
a lot earlier, too.
It's 95. It's not like...
But I'm saying, he laid his 94, but he's laying foundation that hadn't... He was breaking ground that hadn't been broken at that point. I will give you this, though. I think I Seen a Man Die is in the conversation of those other songs. Two different tones.
Right.
But, yeah, I'm with you. Like, if you say that song's better than High and Back That Ass Up, I'm not going to say you're crazy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But also, too, it's like, I mean, and maybe it's an aesthetic thing, too. It's like, well, you know, Louisiana and Texas right next to each other. It's like, well, if you like the bounce, you probably like 400 Degrees more. If you like the street music, you probably like the Diary more. Like the White Sheep to me, like there ain't nothing on 400 Degrees that's messing with the White Sheep to me. Like as far as like that album track that I'm gonna ride to, they're like they just got that feel to it. It's like, no, I love 400 Degrees. They don't got no White Sheet or G's on 400 Degrees. Like, nah, it ain't like that. Face somewhere else on the Diary specifically, as far as like feeding the block that music. You know what I'm saying? It's like 400 Degrees is wonderfully put together. And the beats are great, but it's not a better production job than the Diary per se. The lyrics job is Face all day. Yeah. The streets is Face all day, and he actually has a song on there that measures up, even though differently, contextualizing the history of hip hop annals with High and Back That Ass Up. And it's like, and for whatever you may feel about it, most people think Never Seen a Man Die is better than High and Back That Ass Up.
It's a great record. It's an incredible record. One of the best hip hop records.
Think about this. How many times are you hearing Ice Cube in 1994 on somebody else's shit? Because it's like
special.
Getting a verse from Ice Cube ain't no easy pull in the early 90s. He is that dude.
That's respect. Shout out to Manny Fresh, too, because I feel like, once again, when you think about all the work that Manny Fresh put in early on in those Cash Money days, and honestly, I feel like the production was the buy-in for 400 Degrees, right? When I first saw the High video on Rap City or wherever I saw it for the first time, what stood out to me, outside of the MC and all that, was that beat. And the production job that Manny did on 400 Degrees and what Juvie did on there, that set the foundation for Cash Money. And that, that needs to be noted. But with all that being said, top 5 New Orleans MCs. Where are we going here? I'm saying Wayne, Juvie, Mystikal.
Mystikal, real quick, you got anything to say about Mystikal? Because we've actually talked about Soulja, and we've talked about Wayne, we've talked about Juvie.
Well, I want to be very clear, too, because when you bring up somebody like Mystikal, it's all problematic when it comes to off-court shit, right?
I don't even want to bring
When we talk about the music, I think what Mystikal, I'm going to say this about Mystikal. I think he's one of the most original as far as sonically and sound and approach. Where does this style come from? I've never heard anything like this.
So when you say that Future is James Brown, that's why I always have an issue. Mystikal's the reason that I have a problem with you saying Future is James Brown, because I'm like, no, Mystikal is James Brown.
They both are.
As in, no, listen to what I'm about to say. Stage performance-wise. Like, no. Mystikal, you remember before Shake Your Ass and like all that other stuff, Mystikal was known for the man right here, but his stage performance. Here I go. But Mike, there's footage of him doing full Michael Jackson dance routines on stage after performing Here I Go. Here I Go is better than High and Back That Ass Up to me too. Even though
Really?
to me personally,
Okay.
they're
classics. They're Southern classics.
To me personally, that's what I'm saying. Is like I know top 50 wise picking High and Back That Ass Up.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're asking me if I'm playing High and Back That Ass Up over Here I Go or Never Seen a Man Die, the answer is no.
The truth of the matter is, for the people who weren't around for the No Limit era, back then people would buy No Limit CDs every single week. I think that in 1998, I literally believe No Limit came out with an album every week. And Mystikal was a big part of that. Back then, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have any other way of hearing the album other than actually buying the album. So a lot of people would buy the album just to hear the Soulja song, and Mystikal was the draw for those things.
And Unpredictable is arguably the best album to come out of the No Limit
I think
camp.
it is.
Ghetto Dope.
Either that or Ghetto Dope. But if we
Neck
talk
and neck.
about hearing Mystikal on 3 verses or hearing P on 3 verses, give me the Mystikal by it, me personally.
No. I hear you.
Yeah.
I was kind of out when he took the Eric B and Rakim shit and started making crack like this. That's when I was out. I was like, I'm out.
Make crack like this. I think we got a couple super chats.
Good.
Jermaine
I'm gonna
Johnson
run
with the
right
super
quick
chat
while you
says,
right back.
I don't think that Wayne has a close connection with Louisiana. He lived in Miami for most of his prime and very little presence during Katrina. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, guess who's back? And my block aren't better than High or Back That Ass Up. Just asking. Some people say The Fix is better than The Diary. I'm with that. I mean, I understand both sides of it. I think that The Fix I think that The Fix kind of like what we said about Lil Wayne. I think that it was a little bit more East Coast centric and kind of moved away from some of its Southern roots from a production standpoint. So I think that might be why certain people connect a little bit more to The Diary more so than The Fix. Even though I do think from a technical standpoint, The Fix is a brilliant album. And it does deserve those 5 mics that it got in the source. MC with a super chat says, I've always said that Mystikal was a hip-hop James Brown. Well, let me say this about Mystikal, and I know Coop said, I said that Future, I compare him to James Brown. I compare Future to James Brown in the sense where I can't really quantify exactly what Future's doing. I know Future's a rapper, technically, right? But he's kind of singing. He's kind of rapping. He's kind of harmonizing. He's doing the auto-tune. He's doing a lot of different things. And I always try to take myself back to the 1960s, 50s, or whatever, when people were writing records, right? And people were harmonizing, people were singing. And then James Brown comes in grunting. James Brown comes in chanting. I'm sure that most of the recording artists at the time were like, what exactly is he doing? And I know James Brown, the Furious Flames, and the Fabulous Flames, he was doing a little bit more singing then, but at the same time, it wasn't your traditional singing. So that's why I compare Future to James Brown in that sense. I do agree with the Mystikal thing. Mystikal did something totally different. I think he's one of the most original MCs that we've ever gotten on the mic, but that's where that comparison comes from. Let me see. I think we got Peter Parks here. Mr. A with the super chat says, don't sleep on BG. We definitely not. We're going to make sure BG gets his flowers. Chris Daugherty with the super chat says, it meant Wayne's solo catalog is not better than Juvenile or BG. Peter Parks with the super chat says, I think Juvie represents Noya to me. His draw and his style is everything. Okay. Well, do you think that does take away, all right, let me say it like this. Is a New Orleans top 5 different than an all-time top 5, right? Where it's like the New Orleans top 5 is more so about what you mean to the city, more so than what you mean to the nation.
I think everybody's neighborhood kind of works like that. Like if you go out to Cali,
So Juvenile's ahead of Wayne.
Right, but Quick and 8 are ahead of a lot of guys in Cali that we might have ahead of 40 and Short are ahead of guys that we might have. Like I know guys out in Cali that like Short more than they like Snoop.
Yeah.
They like Short, been here longer, fam.
We got people in our chat that really be speaking for E40.
Hard.
Yeah.
So it's different when you local, how NoCal feel and how SoCal feel is even different.
Yeah. I mean, even when I hear records that I know are just Atlanta records, right, that only me and my friends that grew up in Atlanta know, it makes me feel different.
Right, like how about this?
Like, it feels different.
If we making an Atlanta rapper list, well, Kilo making our list.
Of course.
Ain't making nobody outside Atlanta list, Mike.
Exactly. You know, when
Niggas
you and
don't
I
know
did, when you and I did the Dungeon Family in Wu-Tang Patreon, I wanted to play Witch Doctor Holiday so bad, but I knew nobody would know that record. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't.
They don't.
I couldn't play it. That's an Atlanta thing.
And it's a great record.
Yeah.
It's one of the better songs.
But see, I love that though, and I love people representing.
But you can play some Watch for the Hook.
I think what we need to do, and you're right, I think what we need to do when it comes to like top 5 in New Orleans, we got to kind of take the nation out of it and kind of just speak from a New Orleans perspective. I think Juvenile would have that crown. Is that fair?
Yeah, if we keeping it local, Juvie probably that. Yeah.
Would y'all agree out there? I know y'all say Soulja Slim. I want to talk to the NO people, that are in the room.
I mean, Soulja would be the guy, but I mean, obviously, Soulja's not here. You know?
Yeah, but I mean, even with Soulja, one of his biggest records is with Juvie. Right?
It's true. It's actually what helped bring him the kind of national prominence.
Well, he was gone at that point, but a lot of people recognized him.
But it was still his national prominence moment. He just wasn't here for it.
But shout out to Juvenile, and we're going to put Juvenile through the rubric at some point because I think that he deserves that top 50 consideration. And I wanted to take this moment out
DJ
to
All
give
Day makes a very
Juvenile
good
his
point.
flowers. What's that?
Listen, he says, problem is most people that came out rapping from ATL ain't from ATL.
Well, that is a big problem. Even though we, accept all kind of out-of-towners, we appreciate the out-of-towners and all of that.
Like, Luda's not technically from here.
I mean, he's an A-Town legend.
Jeezy technically not from here.
No.
Right?
I mean, yeah.
Big Boy was born in West Savannah way before he started rapping.
And Gucci was born in Alabama. But see, this is the thing, and I think that Atlanta got this early. If you come here and you contribute, it's all good. Dallas Austin, he's from a small town in Georgia. You know what I mean? But
ain't Left Eye from Ohio?
Well, she's from Philly.
Philly.
Jermaine Dupri's from North Carolina. But again, those people came here and contributed heavy. And so, yeah, I mean, if you come here and contribute.
I think the hood just worked that way. It's like Prodigy's from Hempstead, but
Yeah. What did Prodigy contribute to the bridge?
A lot. A lot.
So yeah, we can't front on
lot.
That. And you know what? I'll say that about Luda because I know signals might get crossed when people listen to us talk about Luda. But what Luda came down here and contributed to Atlanta radio is immeasurable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I feel you because it's like for me personally, Prodigy is my second favorite rapper out of Queens. It's like objectively probably 5 or 6, but you know what I mean? Personally, it's like, it's Nas and then it's P.
Yeah.
It's like I know 50 and L and G Rap would probably be ahead of him, but not in my book.
You know Poon Daddy's from Cali, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yep. Contributions,
somebody said that. Somebody said that to me.
Yeah, he's from Cali, but his contributions to Atlanta, he's an Atlanta legend.